Oh, that was a lot of... I'm gonna take a breath. Or take a minute to catch up my breath. That was exhausting. Went up this mountain, I thought, it's gonna be amazing. Take this beautiful cinematic kind of scenery shot. My lungs are disagreeing with this. Why the fuck did I do that? Whew. One moment, please. I think I'm okay now. No, one more. Whew, I'm out of shape. So, as you can see, I moved from Finland to Canada. And right now, since I moved to Canada, there were a few things or topics I wanted to do video about. And especially one of those was basically I wanted to do a culture shock comparison between Finland and Canada and how culture shock affected me and what kind of things I found interesting and what kind of things are like, I don't understand why you're doing that. But yeah, but the problem with making that video or kind of bringing the ideas of what kind of different culture shocks compared to those two countries is as soon as I moved to Canada, I moved to a tiny town called Powell River. Don't get me wrong, Powell River is not a bad city, but compared to me where I come from 500,000 people in Helsinki at least, compared to that, that's really not much. Where in Powell River, there are a couple of thousands, and to kind of give you an idea how small it is, everybody knows everybody here. So yeah, that's how small it is. So yeah, so I moved to Powell River, which is part of the province of British Columbia. So when I wanted to make that video about what is the difference of culture shocks I face, there always was wondering, is this a Powell River kind of a thing, or is this a British Columbia? Because as you know, Canada is a massive country and there is different cultures within the same country. So I couldn't really make up my mind to kind of make what is the small town, kind of rural area culture and what is the big city kind of, like I've seen on TikTok and everything. And oh boy, there is a big difference between here and Vancouver. And Vancouver is just a couple hours from here. So yeah, so I held that up on that video. And then something came up. To kind of do this video, I've decided to do something. And we are going on a trip. Yay! See, for me to experience the Canadian culture more in depth and kind of know that the culture shocks I'm having, or I have to leave Powell River to kind of get an impression. So we decided to go on a trip to Alberta. Well, for me to actually leave Powell River, it's quite a challenge. First of all, I have to take 2 ferries to actually arrive to Vancouver. One ferry from Salt Lake Bay to Earls Cove. And then after I take that, I have to drive all the way down to Langdale and then take another ferry that puts us to Horseshoe Bay. See the dilemma? It's not that easy to actually leave Powell River. So that's why I'm isolated. That's why I'm super excited to go on this trip. So yeah, so hopefully I'm gonna see other things in Canada and kind of experience different things in Canada. So yeah.
We look forward to meeting you again.
Well, it's an announcement, we're already arriving. I gotta go to the car because I don't wanna get in trouble. So yeah, continue with me.
So, there are a few things that people should consider when taking the ferries. First of all, about the pricing. When you're using the ferries, your vehicle determines the price of taking the ferries. Whether you have a bigger vehicle or a smaller vehicle, that should be considered when you're going on the ferries. And another thing is also the passengers. Of course, you gotta pay for the people riding on the ferries in the vehicles. So these are the 2 things that you should be aware of when you're booking. You can find all this information in their website at BC Ferries. One of the things also that contributes to the price of the ferries is seasonal. Because as you can see, the Sunshine Coast is very beautiful at summer, so a lot of people want to go there, so it's gonna be very pricey. But in winter, it's a little bit cheaper. So pick which one you want to go. The last thing is basically BC or British Columbia have an advantage where they apply for the BC Express ferry cars, which gives them a little bit of an advantage to get prices cheaper. Because honestly, let's be real, you're not gonna leave this area without the ferries. You're kind of stuck here. So it's better to have a kind of incentive thing to kind of leave this place eventually. Once you take the ferries, there are other things that you should be aware of, that each ferry is different from one another. There's some that have dining areas which you can go and eat and have whatever food that you like. And there are some ferries where there's play areas for your kids where you can let those monsters run around and not worry about it and stress out while you're traveling. Another thing is, one of the things, there are souvenirs in where you can buy or clothing. I never went there, but I should check it out at some point. But these are the few things. And of course, you can go on the deck, whatever ferry you are on, because basically, let's be honest, that is the experience you want to look at, see, and enjoy the beautiful ocean and the mountains and everything like that. Final thing that you should really consider is don't screw this up. Just don't screw it up. It's one of the main things. You gotta be there on time to catch the ferry. So being or arriving late to your ferries will screw you over, because you won't be able to go on the ferries because there's limited capacity on the ferries. Guess what? A boat is limited on vehicles? Yes. So don't wing it. Be on time. Even with a reservation, it does not guarantee you that you're gonna be there. So don't wing it. Be there on time. Like being in an airport, be at least 1 hour in there. Sometimes, especially on long weekends and long holidays, be super fucking early, because you're gonna miss that. So we made it to Langdale, and which is now on the ferry from Langdale to Horseshoe Bay. And I like this ferry. It's much bigger. I took it once when I came here from Finland, so that time I was culture shock, jet lag, tired. I was in the dark, nighttime, so I didn't really pay attention. But it's a fairly big ferry. It's way bigger than the one that we took from Saltry Bay. So right now, some people are wondering, we're going straight to Calgary, or are we gonna drive all the way there? Yes, we're driving, but driving from Powell River all the way to Calgary is a bit much. As I mentioned before, Canada's a massive country, so doing that much of a stretch in one day, well, some people can do it, but I don't want to do it. So therefore, we have a plan to do. So we're gonna stop in 3 places. The first place is a town called Hope. Most people, when I told them I'm going to Hope, I was like, why Hope? I was like, I don't know, I've never been to Hope, so why not? So I have no information, no idea what's there in Hope, how is Hope, so I'll experience it with you guys for the first time as a person who did not do any research. Second town, we're gonna go to Nelson. Same thing, no idea what's there in Nelson. But third one I actually checked out, and I wanted a hot springs. So there's a person looking at me right now. I was like, why is he holding a camera? Because I can hold a camera. But anyway, interruption. So yes, after that, we're gonna go to, damn it, lost my thought. What was the third place? Radium, yes, hot spring. So yes, Radium is the first place we're gonna get. We're gonna stay there for a couple days, at least 2 days. The first one is a day and a half. So it's or less than a day and a half, 3 days, 2 days in Radium, 1 day in Hope, 1 day in Nelson. And then after that, we're gonna head up to Calgary. I think I remembered that wrong. It took me a while to remember that. You can see I really planned this trip. No, I do not really plan everything about it. The wife did most of the planning because that's her vacation time. So it's mine too, but I don't know anything about Canada. So yes, so we're gonna explore. So now we're gonna hit Vancouver, and of course, we gotta grab some snacks for the bros. So we're gonna go hit Costco, which I love Costco. Costco is the one thing that Finland should bring. Like, really, you should bring Costco. Like, I don't know who came with the idea of Costco, but you're a genius. Costco is amazing, just saying. So stay tuned, let's check it out and see what is the different things that I've experienced. And we're getting to the harbor now. So let's buckle up and go.
Getting off the ferry is super simple. Turn on the vehicle when they let you know. Make sure don't run into other vehicles or staff. That is not helpful. And if you are a foot passenger, just exit the ferry as normally you do as in an airplane. Once you're off the ferries, you will drive in Vancouver's highways. Oh boy, and trust me, these streets will stress you out. But you know what's beautiful about this? There is still the beauty of British Columbia around you to kind of de-stress you from somebody cutting you off. One of the most iconic things to do in Vancouver is drive over the Lionsgate Bridge. And trust me, I was not interested about this bridge until I knew the history of it. This bridge was opened in 1938 and officially known as the first narrowest bridge, which as you can see is a suspension bridge. But I always wondered what gave it that unique name, and which is It has two lion statue at the end of it, which is basically connected to another major attraction in Vancouver, is the Stanley Park. But once you're out of there, you're back in the city with the crazy drivers and the crazy hectic things. But as soon as you leave Vancouver, you are for a treat, because there where BC starts to shine with its beautiful nature, mountains, rivers, and its majestic forest, where a lot of people go there out of the city to de-stress and not try to be bunked by bears. That's my opinion. But anyway, you'll find so much beauty in British Columbia, waterfalls, and everything about this province makes it unique with its beautiful, vast nature. But as we make our ways down to Hope, there are so many things that I've been learning about British Columbia. One of them is learning about the Fraser River, which at the beginning, to be honest, I thought it was just a regular river. But somebody pointed it out, wife, is basically, it's one of the longest rivers in British Columbia. It's up to 1,375 kilometers, and it cuts through a lot of cities, including the ones we're staying at, Hope. So let's see what we're gonna see around Hope and enjoy the scenery as we go down.
So, I arrived to Hope. Well, basically from Horseshoe Bay, it takes you about 1 hour and 45 minutes to drive all the way to Hope. But when I arrived here, I was having a pleasant surprise, which basically, there is something special about this tiny town. I thought it was just a small tiny town with a small population. Don't get me wrong, it's quite beautiful, quiet, like it's way smaller than Powell River. I take back that. The Powell River is a bigger city than this one, but it's surrounded by beautiful mountains, waterfalls, lakes, tunnels, and stuff. It's a quite nice. But the most interesting part I found about this is something you would not expect in this tiny town, and they're so proud of it. And like, they really are proud of this achievement. I'll show you. So, it turns out this tiny town has a small secret. It is the place where, look at that, Rambo movie, The First Blood was shot here. Like, this is unbelievably epic. This is fucking epic. I did not expect this. I thought it was just some random town that just had nature. And also, there's another one I have to show you. There's another statue here, which I just paid attention right now. There's another. I don't have longer arms. Let's look at that. That is the statue of the Sheriff Welty, the actor in the movie too.
After finishing up doing the tourist thing, taking a picture with Rambo, who wouldn't? I had to check out the rest of Hope City. Even though I was surprised at the beginning, knowing the fact that the movie Rambo was shot here, it was obvious that this town was way smaller compared to Powell River. I was shocked because I thought Powell River was already a small town. But the more I explored the city, the more I noticed the beauty that surrounds it. Beautiful mountains that tower over the city center, very unique shot, and some sculptures made out of wood that I have no idea about or the history of. I should, but I did not. If someone from Hope is watching this and knows what's the deal with them, please share in the comments, because I am still very curious about them. There were a few of them in the center of town. So that was a very pleasant surprise to me, knowing not only does this town have the longest river passing through it, but also a historical event for an epic movie that was shot here. As we continue our journey, we are going to stay the night in Hope City, and we booked at the Park Motel in town center. Since this is my first time staying in a motel in North America, I was a little bit excited because all I knew about motels from movies were contract killers who stay here and runaway people who come and hide. You can see American movies have influenced my perspective a lot. But this motel was quite lovely. The staff was great, the parking lot was easy to access, the room was decent enough for the price of 129 Canadian dollars. They had all the necessary things that I needed: a microwave, a fridge, glasses, TV, Wi-Fi, shower, AC, and of course, the bed. So if you are around Hope City, give this motel a try. Also, this is not sponsored. FYI, this is my opinion.
So, that is basically the trip for Hope, which you can do it within a day if you live in Vancouver or any place. It's just about 1 hour, 45 minutes. So, It's a quite lovely place. As I said, I did not expect I would find Rambo here. And I was pleasantly surprised by this fun fact about this tiny town. It's the place where Rambo was filmed, the first blood. Can you imagine that? I just Googled it and I was like, oh, no way. Yep. First Blood, Rambo was filmed here. I couldn't find the other places. I tried. By the time I found them, it was already too dark and I got tired. So I wanted my sleep because we're gonna drive again. But yeah, so Hope is a lovely, tiny, beautiful city. You can do it. If you're passing through, I will recommend to give it a try and just check it out. It's a good destination to kind of have lunch, breakfast, drive through, watch it. There are also some tunnels. I don't know what they're called. There are some tunnels nearby for hiking. So if you're hiking, there's some place where there's nearby you can do, but for the time being I wanted to check them out, but they're closed. Not sure what's that up, renovation, their tunnels, maybe. But yeah, so off to go to the next city, Nelson, and hopefully it'll be interesting, as surprising as Hope was. It's a cool place, but too small for my taste, but good stop point. So enjoy. All right, let's go to the next destination. We gotta drop the keys and drive all the way to Nelson, 6 hours. That's gonna be an interesting drive. But yeah, Rambo, thank you for your contribution and we'll see you again
on the next video of Freesome Wonders.
But yeah, now when we're Radium, we started from Powell River and then went through Vancouver and arrived at Hope. Oh, goat. Look at that, goat. I gotta show you this, goat. Wildlife of Canada.
The lake is actually shared with these states. I couldn't help but falling in love with this tiny picturesque town further in. There's also
some mountains, there's nothing. There's the line. It's conspiracy. It's a very beautiful lake. And as you can see, there's a lot of people here. So he's rock climbing at Lake Louise. He wants to kill himself. Why would you do that, bro? And basically this is a lake near Banff, which is about 65 kilometers, 45 minutes for the North Americans who like to go with time instead of distance, just saying. But yeah, so this is Lake.
Oi, Barry, stop hijacking my videos and crawl back into your little corner. What is this?
Oh, sod off, mate. Your video was utter rubbish from the start. If it weren't for my intervention, no one would have stuck around.
Very careful. I see someone looking at me. People.
But downtown Calgary, that is a little bit of
Actually, this is my first event to go to an anime convention, and I absolutely loved it. I thought a whole different concept of what's anime conventions. I was nervous, but